Hello, myself Sunil Ramakrishnan Nair. Here, basically, we are talking about one topic, that is India account. Here, basically, we have talked lots of things about the India account. Here, basically, I have taken the example of myself. In that, basically, you can take your example also and replace my example with your example. Because India account contains, one of the person told that if India want to solve the each and every problem, then they have to go to in detail basically. Previously there was only Congress, but they thought that basically it's very difficult to handle the each and every individual account. They basically created BJP, they created Samaj Party, they basically had not done the time pass by creating BJP, doing lots of expense on BJP, Narendra Damodar Modi, to create Narendra Damodar Modi group. They have created what all businessmen basically. They have created basically, and they are basically Modi group is using that businessman basically on creating lots of things basically. So they are not doing time pass basically. So one of the person told that Congress ने तो यार BJP बना दिया, लेकिन it's had taken lots of dangerous thing basically to create one businessman basically, to create one Reliance, to create lots. Just taking as an example basically. In really basically some businessman basically might be other also basically. Otherwise basically will some Reliance group will say and basically अरे भाई ये Reliance के बारे में कुछ बोला basically. That it's a internet basically. That's why basically. So everything has to be clear basically. That's why basically I just taken as an example. So because the rich people basically can do anything, and if poor people basically will say something basically, then basically it creates problem. In government also basically supports that group only basically who have basically the money. So one of the person told that, assume that basically world basically ended just within second basically the world ended. So what would be the thing basically? Money is going to be used. Then he told that nothing basically. You have to create everything recreation basically. Everything basically you have to create even basically the human body is going to create recreation basically. But their ideas are going to be used. The currently the human world basically is having basically the views, the ideas. Currently basically human is having the chip control of each and every human body, but previously it was there. Previously who was controlling the human body? That were the past data. So one of the person basically, that is basically some American businessman basically, I am not taking the name basically because in front of the world basically that is not the person basically, because it's very risky. If you are controlling any person's body, it's very risky basically. So in front of the world basically he is the businessman American, but in real basically he is not basically. So whatever things basically is in front of the world basically, that all are wrong basically. So that is basically different topic basically. So one of the person told that previously ideas was basically controlled by the past ended world. For example, 101 time world has ended. Just taking as example, in really basically world might have ended many times basically. I am taking the minimum amount. So 101 time world basically ended. So that 100 and world one time world ended basically, that ideas are coming into the brain of human bodies. So one question basically, one of the computer science basically, the mechanical engineer or BTech people, the MTech people basically, they basically are brain basically are up to that level. So they ask the question, Are Sunil, yeah, basically you told that 100 and time basically ideas are basically coming into the brain of human body before the chip was created. Do you have the data basically when how which time basically the sorry which idea is coming from which ended world? For example, mathematics idea basically came from which ended world? So one person told that it might be second number, or it might be, they told that basically it might be third number ended world. Then one of the person told that the people who has created the chip basically, they might be having the data 100% basically. Otherwise basically they have basically blindly created the chip basically. They are मतलब क्या उनका क्या मतलब, they basically have given some person has basically given them wrong way basically, that create this basically like this way. So that this way when basically that is the data basically which is connecting to the 101 time world day. So one of the person told that how basically you can track that this is the basically time, and on when this world basically was ended, that time this all ideas were basically ongoing with, because it's very dangerous basically, because on last day of world, when world will end basically, the universe group basically is going to take the decision that we have to end the world on emergency basis, but they will never end basically so soon. Why? Because lots of things basically to create one world basically, to create this generation basically, it has taken many years basically, more than 500 years basically it has taken. So they will not end the world so easily, but NASA, ISRO know this. So they basically periodically end the countries, sorry, not countries basically, to create country also basically it's very dangerous basically, cities basically. So one of the person told that the ideas are very dangerous basically. That's why basically few people told that basically we will create one chip basically. Chip means equal to blood cells only basically. Physically chip no. Basically it's very, if you are creating physical chips then basically you are going against law of the universe, and that will create problem in future to universe only basically. So universe group basically will never allow that. If he will basically send the rocket, they will basically fire the rocket. So that is basically different topic basically, that is America topic. Here basically I am in India, so I am talking about the India topic. So one of the person told that 101 time basically the world has ended. So 101 time basically, when for example first time basically when world was ended, when world was created freshly, assume that basically world has created fresh environment world. Earth basically just born, one generation basically started, world creation started. Suddenly basically something happened after certain years and world ended. So that time basically which all ideas basically was active. One of the person told that that's very dangerous thing basically you have asked, because currently which world is ongoing, that is connected with all the 101 time world ended ideas. 101 time ended ideas, sorry, 100 time ended world's ideas. World basically is word given by the Oxford group basically, I have not given, so that's why basically I am telling world basically. Earth is also basically I think given by the Oxford group only, and they basically I got this word from Sanskrit basically dictionary, that, and Sanskrit basically dictionary is created by the symbolic world basically, that is symbolic book. And symbolic book is the group basically who created that, book is created by the universe group basically, and that universe group basically contains that this symbol basically contain 1 lakh planet, this symbol contain 1 lakh planet, that symbol contain 1 lakh planet, and that symbol equal to creation of languages. So one of the person told that is this 101 time basically world which was ended basically, because this is connecting to the India world basically, India account only basically. One of the person told that यार ये मतलब कौन से टॉपिक में चला गया, because it's connecting to the India account only basically. So one of the person told that like this basically 101 time basically the world ended. So one of the person told that the ऐसा account, this type of data basically I don't think basically any of the software company might be having. Then one of the person told that how they created the chip basically. Then another person basically asked the question, that was MTech person basically, because MTech people basically they have basically lots of asking question basically, because they, their book basically when it was created basically, in that basically they have dumped that type of ideas basically, that you have to always ask the question, ask the question, ask the question. So one of the person told that ये मतलब the degree basically which has created MTech, BTech, BE, ME, BCom, MCom, you have the list of things basically, that this person basically will be the like this only, because Infosys group basically takes nowadays basically takes BCom people basically, but they take some contract basically. So one of the person told that this is the data science project, and that basically 100% they might be happy. Reason, the medicines are created. According to the education, the medicines are created. Because according to the education only basically you get the disease, na basically. You have done first standard, you have done second standard, you have done third, 10th standard, you have done 12th standard, you have done BCom, you have done BSc, you have done MTech, you have done BTech, you have done ME, BE. So disease are according to that only. Because when you read one book 100 times, your body blood cells basically gets permanent blood cells. It's not permanent basically because education is not a permanent blood cell. Why? Because when you basically, for example, one BE person basically solved one problem in first year, after a certain year basically try to solve that problem, but he can't. Why? Because the permanent blood cells was not there. But blood cells is there basically. But it's not permanent. Otherwise, basically, if it's a permanent, then basically still basically he might be remaining. Universe group, they have the permanent blood cells. Still they remember the first time world ended ideas. And in this world basically there is no person basically who is having permanent blood cells inside his body. So one of the person told that, yaar, ये तो very dangerous thing basically this was actually. Because chip is already created, but it has not implemented basically. Because implementation is very dangerous thing basically. That's why basically the people who creates the thing, basically they never comes in front of the world. Because whatever things basically you create, basically it automatically comes in front of the universe. And universe groups are very dangerous basically. They just finish the country only basically. They finish the country only, but it's basically they basically don't finish the country so soon basically, because to create country it's very dangerous thing basically. To create country, if you are creating one country, immediately it generates the energy in the universe, and that basically it's so easily basically the universe group will never end the country. But why? Basically to give the chance to end the country. So this is actually one chance basically somebody has given, I think. But that is not one of the person told that if they have created, if the American government has created, then basically they have perfect data only basically. This 101 time basically the world was ended, that data they might be having basically. Otherwise basically how they can create? They might be having few data at least. So on the basis of few data, that few data is what actually? One of the person told that, what is that few data? So one of the person told that the education basically which you see basically, that all are the data of 101 time world ended. So one of the person told that BCom kya hai? BCom is basically idea basically got from which ended world, which time ended world basically. 101 time basically world has ended, but which time world ended ideas was this. On the base of that BCom created, MCom, ME, BE. So that basically connects to very dangerous thing basically. That connects to very dangerous thing basically. So one of the person told that disease are also basically created. That's why, because computer disease basically. Computer basically is idea also, but it have disease also basically. It's not like that basically. It's only idea will work basically. Because the blood cells keeps process, and disease also keeps on generating until basically will not die. The blood cells keeps on processing. So one of the person told that this connects to India land how is India account how basically. So India account is created on the base of this only. So one person basically asked the question, India account is created. Then he told that yes, basically India's account is created. India account contains what actually? India accounts contain culture. India account contains bank's accounts. India account contains bank name. India account contains history of the land. India account contains sports, that India has won this many match, and India basically is not winning the match. So according to what, that basically what are the things done. Few people told that basically sports was India basically was not winning the match, basically. So they have done some permanent solution. They actually killed a few people basically who was giving the trouble, basically. Then one person told that by killing this that people, basically they actually killed the sports only, basically. This connects to Murgi and Anda ka, that Sone ki Murgi na, basically, which was giving Anda. Sone ka Anda. They actually killed that Murgi only. So that Murgi was that actually people basically who they themselves basically killed. Because that idea basically was given by some group basically. That's why basically each category group basically are totally enemy of each other basically. Because Bollywood and sports basically can't become one. Why? Because they are taking the percentage. If sports will end, then Bollywood get more percentage. If Bollywood end, then sports will get more percentage in the market business basically. So they basically are total, but they have to work together only basically. Because rule is also like that. In one company basically many departments are there, but each department basically can do their task, each and every department's task. So each department are enemies of each other basically, but they have to work together only. That is the rule basically of the company. That is different thing. So here basically we are talking about basically India account. So this everything basically comes into the India account only basically. Company. India company. India company have basically one data in India account. India account contains this data. India company. India restaurant. India hotel. India India company basically all types of company basically comes. Software company, everything basically. India health department. India temple. These all are data basically are there. India sports. And the person basically who is handling the India account, he basically tries to reduce the number basically. So if anybody is taking panga with that group basically, then basically, but they have the full rights basically. But it's not so easy to finish anything basically. Why? One person told that भाई इंडिया में से ना हम क्रिकेट को ख़त्म कर देंगे. We will finish each and every pitches. We will finish the Wankhede Stadium. Then basically we will finish the Gandhinagar Stadium. We will finish the Ahmedabad Stadium. Narendra Damodar Modi cricket stadium. We will finish everything basically. But do you think basically this is possible? Because public has already had the cricket blood cells. Because the sports group are very smart basically. Sport account basically have few doctors also basically. When the sport blood cells was created, then when the cricket blood cells was created, that time basically they have created some those dangerous blood cells basically. Because in India basically people will die basically for cricket basically. That type of blood cells they have created, and they will kill the few people, kill the people also basically for cricket basically. That type of blood cells they have already created. So in future basically anything will happen due to cricket. Assume that basically in future anything basically happen due to cricket in earth planet, in universe. Repeating the word, in earth planet, in universe. The responsible group will be doctors group, because they have created the blood cells. One person is basically watching cricket, but he basically will die basically to watch the cricket basically. He will leave all the work, this, that basically, but he will watch the cricket. Why? Because the blood cells is created that type of, the doctors has created that type of blood cells. That is the habit blood cells basically. One person told that basically यार मेरे को शराब की तो आदत हो गया. I basically can't live without wine basically. Why? Because wine basically when it was created, the doctors group basically has created that type of data basically, that it converted it to habit basically. And that person basically body basically was not having the antibiotic of the habit wine. One person told that यार इसको तो मैंने कोबरा का पॉइजन दिया, then also he is not dying. Why? The people basically who was controlling that person, basically they have given already antibiotic long before, basically long before they have given the antibiotic. That's why basically he was not dying. One person told that basically इसको मैंने है ना इसका सिर फोड़ने का दवाई दिया है मैंने इसको, but he was having the antibiotic long before, basically. So that basically also comes into the accounts. That is basically bad and good. So India account basically is very dangerous, basically. So one other person told that the group basically who creates the India account, they might be having which degree, basically, because chartered accountant group basically can't handle the India account, basically. It's not possible to handle them, basically. So one of the person told that how basically the people basically might be selected, basically there might be some reason, basically. Then one of the person told that, do you know basically in Bollywood when the people dies na, basically the people basically die, their birth basically are converted into the human clones, and their blood cells basically are chained, basically, and that basically I have already discussed. So it's connecting to that only, basically. So the people who dies na, basically their data basically are taken, because normal chartered accountant person basically can't handle the India account. Why? Because his brain will not support. His brain will not support. Why? Because his blood cells is not created up to that level. One person told that basically यार हम लोग है ना, we are thinking that basically we are going to introduce this course basically in the market, in India market. The education department told na, basically lots of discussion basically happened between many colleges, many schools. Then they told that basically yeah, but India, but this education sector basically, this data basically which you have written in the course basically, the group basically can't grasp, their brain basically can't get it. Why? Because Indian education data basically is not physically available of this kind of materials. So they were basically experts, basically, because they know which kind of words, which kind of combination of paragraphs, which kind of pages, which kind of books the people can grasp. So just imagine basically which kind of the professors group basically are available in the market, basically, that they basically when they read the book na, basically they immediately say that basically भाई ये यहाँ पे नहीं चलेगा, this course will not work here. They immediately say basically that kind of professors are basically there. One of the person told that this Oracle na, basically Oracle database that was created from one of the Indian professor. This SQL server database na, that was created from one of the professor. So you can just imagine basically which kind of professors basically are available in the market, and they basically go up to very dangerous level, basically. So one of the person told that this everything connects to what, basically? Then one of the person told that this in this basically you are discussing everything basically, and then basically at last basically comes to your topic only, that is you are not getting job. At last basically connects to that only, and that is basically everybody basically thinks of themselves, basically. One person told that basically यार मैं तो education देने वहाँ जा रहा हूँ basically, but I am not getting the money, basically. Then basically he thought themselves also, basically. One person told that यार मेरे को तो इंडिया से निकल जाना था बहुत पहले, long before I have to leave the India, basically, because in India basically if America says that basically भाई he is not proper person, Indian government says that अरे भाई ये बेकार है भाई, that is India, basically. Russia told that basically भाई इसको कुछ आता वाता नहीं है. He basically don't know basically what is internet. He basically don't know what is hacker, because most of hackers basically are in Russia basically. That's why basically they told that भाई इसको कुछ hacker वैकर का कुछ पता है नहीं. And he is telling that basically there are one Dell server and there are basically 100 crore Dell people, basically Dell computers are connected with that Dell. He's basically just faking basically. Otherwise basically lots of things will come in front na basically. Lots of things basically which was done long before, that will come in front. कि हमने ये किया था, हमने वो हैक किया था, हमने ये अकाउंट हैक किया था, हमने वो अकाउंट हैक किया था. That all will also come ना basically. That's why basically they say that basically अरे ये तो बेकार है यार, basically इसको निकाल दो चलो. Because everything is going to come basically. That's why. Because India account basically contains everything basically. And in India basically Parliament House basically lots of educated people also basically has came. IITs, IIM, lots of educated people also basically came. Previously it was basically Angutha Chhap people basically. Angutha Chhap means unpad people basically. But nowadays educated people has came. So you can't make the fool to that people basically. You can make fool to illiterate people basically, but you can't make fool to the literature people. That is the padhai likhai wale people basically. You can confuse basically, but after some time basically he will read the everything basically. Then he will say that basically ये तो मेरे को बेवकूफ बना गया basically. So one of the person told that India account basically is not giving anything to you, and you are basically giving India credit basically. Actually I was not supposed to give credit basically, but by mistake basically I got the credit. I given the credit to India. Why? Because some idea connected to me. Which time world ended idea basically, that I don't know basically. It connected to me. That's why I told that basically yeah, India is. So one of the person told that what is this everything here basically. Then one of the person told that the chip जिसने बनाया उसको ये सब पता होगा. The person who created the chip ने basically. Chip is equal to blood cells basically. You can't create the chip directly basically, and you can't insert the chip through the human brain basically. And that basically one of the person told that he can't basically do. If he has done basically, then basically he has done the, because implementation basically you can't do basically. One of the person told that this everything basically just now basically you are telling the basically this. If I say that basically this is connecting to the CAA, Senior Citizen something Act is basically there in 1983 basically, when World Cup basically was won by the India group basically. One Bangladeshi Rohingya Muslim basically was there, of one player basically. I'm not telling basically the name, that I also don't know basically. But if you calculate the data basically of India basically, you will exactly know that basically everything basically. And this is done by the government basically. So government basically will never interfere in this. Otherwise basically government will basically have to run basically from Parliament House. Sorry, they have to run from India only basically. When the public will know that basically, ये भाई ये क्या किया है? Are you sure basically they have done like that basically? Because when India government basically was created, that time basically Indian government basically was placed from different countries. Few people basically are there of India land basically, and rest of basically 90% people basically are from outside India when government was created. So base is the base is like this. So when base is like this basically, then how they will create basically, because they have got the base like that only basically. So they will be creating the India like that only basically. So when in 83 basically, this connects to what basically? 1983. 1983 World Cup basically. Exactly same thing. So this is also like this basically, India account basically. So one of the person told that yeah, India account basically it's very dangerous thing basically. Because normal chartered accountant person basically can't understand the chartered. Why? Because they are when basically chartered accountant book basically was created, they have told that basically this is the boundary of understanding. This is the boundary of understanding. So the chartered accountant people basically can understand up to this level only, that doctors basically chartered accountant education certification, when it was printed in front of the Indian government, basically that time basically doctors has given the one more certification that this is the data, and this up to the level basically the people basically who are into the chartered accountant degree, when the chartered accountant person will get 90 percentage, his brain basically will be like this, 95 percentage brain will be like this. That is certified basically. If it is not certified, then basically Indian government has done the mistake, and that mistake basically connected to the many diseases also basically. Because they might have certificate, they might have given the certification also basically. If not, then basically this was mistake by the Indian government, and mistake basically, for example, one person told, "Bhai Sunil, tera yaar ye this is basically not good here basically." So I immediately correct the mistake basically. If I think that this is a mistake basically, one person told that, "Bhai तू यार project manager में बराबर नहीं है basically." One person told that basically. Why? Because he want to enter into the project management basically. His people basically want to enter into. So he basically was degrading me basically. He basically started telling that basically तू एक काम कर programming में चला जाना. You basically start programming. C, P, programming. So one person told that you go to programming here basically. You basically doesn't suit to manager basically. So ideas is connecting to what level? Just see basically programming. So one of the person told that yeah. So what was that basically? That was basically the degrading the one person basically. Degrading the one person basically. He was telling that basically my people only basically want to in project manager basically. We don't want basically other caste people. In Mumbai basically, most of basically the Mumbai software delivery heads basically are Maharashtrian. They only take as a project manager as a Marathi people only basically. That is the rule basically. If you basically one of the person told that, are you sure basically? Then you one of the person told that you basically see the human resource data basically. They basically collect the data in this way only basically. Because they say that basically we don't want to take risk basically. Then one of the person told them, what is the risk actually then basically? So other caste people basically are not good basically. They want to say that basically. That is also thing basically. They want to say indirectly that only basically, that other caste people are not good. But that is good basically, that whatever people basically who are staying in Mumbai, they should learn Marathi. That basically I agree basically, because the local language basically must be known basically. In that basically I agree basically, but in this basically I can't agree. That the person basically who is software delivery head as a Marathi, he only takes Maharashtrian people basically. No other, even basically the human resource people basically don't take. For example, I am applying in one company. I applied in one company. I basically applied in one company, and they told that basically भाई इसको प्रोजेक्ट मैनेजर के पोस्ट में लेना है कि नहीं लेना है. Then they basically talked in Marathi. भाई नाही रे बाबा, नाही आपण आपणा माणसर लेना है. Actually Marathi basically is not good basically, because I left Mumbai basically long before basically. So they the Sunil Larner basically told that no re baba, naku levu basically, naku levu. Nakul means don't take basically. आपणा माणसच क्या बोल, what to say basically. We want basically our people only. So that is basically told as आमच्या माणसच बेसिकली, आमचा माणस बेसिकली, आमचा माणस वी वॉन्ट इन कंपनी बेसिकली. आमचा माणस कंपनी में पाहिजे, आमचा माणसच कंपनी में काम करणार पाहिजे बेसिकली. That basically I actually forget Marathi basically, but then also basically because permanent blood cells basically was not there basically. When basically I had water of Mumbai, that time basically permanent blood cells basically was not created. That's why basically the Marathi I forget basically. And this also connects to the India account basically. caste account, casteism account. So one of the person told that it might be possible basically. It might be possible that India account basically might be containing this everything basically. It might be containing. One of the person told that India account basically have any chaining basically concept. Then one of the person told that chaining concept means what actually basically. Then one of the person told that chaining concept means next basically, next one page basically he has reread, another basically, then from third page, fourth page, like this basically, 100 page, 200 page. That is basically the chaining basically. And that chaining basically the professor group basically is having of. There are many professors in basically world basically. I will not. I am taking the India account basically. I will take India only. In this India basically there are many professors basically who are basically so powerful that basically if one book basically is written by one of the person basically they will immediately say that basically this will not work in India, but he has written, the book was written by Indian only basically. This book basically was written from Indian person only basically. So one of the person told that how basically then he got the idea. That is also question basically. So one of the person told, do you know basically in India basically there are many things basically which comes from outside India. Potato basically comes from Germany basically. So German ideas basically are coming here. Why? One of the person बोलता है हिटलर जो है वो तो हिंदुस्तान में कहीं कहीं है रहे हैं. One of the person बोलता है हिटलर जो है ना वो तो हिंदुस्तान में कहीं पे है. Then one of the person बोलता है when Hitler basically was from 1 to 10 ना basically ये तो ऐसा था. When basically you connected to 10 to 70 age ना basically he was like that basically. In that time basically he created India. In that time basically created India account. That time basically India account was not there, but India land was basically created. Who will be the prime minister, who will be the president, who will be the Rashtrapati, means president means Rashtrapati only, who will be handling Indian business data. That time basically everything was decided basically. Who will be handling Indian business data. So you can just imagine everything was decided that time only basically. Who will be handling software companies, companies basically. Software company basically that time basically was not there. Who will be handling companies. So that everything basically was decided that time only basically. So one of the person told the Hitler basically when he was basically 70 age basically that time basically he was creating India. And he basically created that time basically the India world basically. So that's why basically few people says that basically in India Parliament House basically Hitler राज चलता है. Why? Because he has created. It's correct or not correct basically, that basically who basically knows. That is also question. One of the person told that तेरे पास सबूत है क्या भाई कि हिटलर अभी भी जिंदा है. Then one person told that अगर ये चीज करेगा ना मतलब this thing basically has happened ना basically this only Hitler can do. So that basically gives a proof that basically this is done by Hitler only. One more example I will take. One person told that basically, do you know basically still Jawaharlal Nehru basically exists somewhere basically, but that basically he is basically having some different route basically. That just taking as an example basically, Real basically it is correct or not, that no, basically one person basically got HIV/AIDS, and he basically was not dying basically. So one person told that how basically that is possible, yeah, because AIDS person basically will die when his age, when basically he gets AIDS, and within 8 9 year basically he dies, but he still basically not died. Why? Because he was having the antibiotic of Nehru blood cells, because Nehru blood cells contains the HIV/AIDS antibiotic. Same way basically the corona antibiotic is also basically there in some body basically, one person's body. So one person basically got corona, so he have to create, sorry, he basically have to get the blood cells energy basically data, that is medicine, of that particular person body only. There are basically many duplicate medicines also, but original medicine is the medicine which is created from his blood cells and his energy, who is the antibiotic person basically. So this also comes into the India account. This also comes into the India account. So one of the person told that yaar India account तो बहुत dangerous हो गया, it's very dangerous India account. One person told that, yeah Sunil, basically you are not getting money, your money is basically not given to you, that means basically somebody is trying to kill you. Then Sunil answered that yes, here basically somebody actually really want to kill Sunil Dharma, because they are not Indian government basically, that they are not giving the money. That means this group basically want to kill. Indian government means what basically? Prime Minister and Chief Minister. Currently basically I am in Gujarat. So that is Bhupender Patel. And I am in India. So that is Narendra Damodar Modi. This both basically group basically want to kill Sunil Arnaya. They want to close account of Sunil Arnaya. Close means they want to kill basically. Close account means that only. So one of the person को यार basically इनको मतलब मार के मतलब क्या मिलने वाला है? What actually they are going to get basically? That also one of the person basically asked the question. If one person basically is killing anyone basically, he might be getting something na basically, that he basically killed that person, or basically he gets some संतुष्टि और मजा आया, what basically what कि भाई गिविंग किलिंग बेसिकली वन परसेंट होता है, इससे ना हम प्रोग्रामिंग कराएंगे बेसिकली. सो ही बेसिकली इंटर इनसाइड हिज ब्लड बेसिकली इट वाज जनरेटेड दैट बेसिकली इसको प्रोग्रामिंग कराना ही है. Whether he might be having the post of project manager in his company, but he will not give the post of project manager. He will say that basically इसको प्रोग्रामिंग ही कराना है. Why? Because his blood cells basically has generated up to that level, and it has generated permanently basically, so it will be very difficult to remove that blood cells. But he know that basically he is good in management side basically, because he was watching these videos also basically, and he basically liked also, assume that, just taking as an example basically. But his blood cells has generated and he has told that basically इसको तो हम प्रोग्रामिंग ही करेंगे. But then basically sometime basically say that यार ये तो he's a good project manager यार basically, but he can't stay in front of the public basically. Why? Because public basically are public, that's why basically. So one person told that India account is connecting to the public basically, or what? That is basically coming to the demand and supply. Then one person told that public basically is creating problem, but public basically know everything basically, anything basically. One person basically told that ये तो भाई नरेंद्र मोदी है, but public know basically. So one person told that but public basically might be knowing that basically India basically won the 1983 World Cup, And in that basically one Rohingya Muslim basically was also there, and he basically created the 1 crore population basically in India, basically Rohingya Muslim. And then basically the just now basically in 2024 the rules basically came into the picture that CA basically has implemented. But it was started basically from 1983 basically. So you can just imagine basically public basically is knowing this, or basically public is not knowing basically the things basically which is happening in city. Public is knowing in Mumbai basically. I will take one example. You will not believe, the people basically who are staying in the apartments, they basically don't know who are basically staying in their neighbor basically. Same way it is in India, in Vadodara also basically. In Mumbai basically, in Pune basically, I will take an example. I basically was staying in Pune basically in one apartment. There basically neighbor basically who is, they also basically don't know. So that 1 crore basically was shifted basically. That was like this only basically. Like this only basically they shifted 1 crore population to India. That was basically Rohingya Muslim, Pakistanis, and Bangladeshis. They basically already shifted. Now basically you can't do anything. Why? Because if you will do anything basically, they have done lots of tasks basically across the world also basically. So that will create problem to India only. Why? Because they have placed lots of Indian to USA, to UK, to Australia, to South Africa, to Canada. So that will create problem to that people also. So you can just imagine basically the government basically are up to what level basically they reaches to achieve their task. They want to achieve this task basically. 1 crore basically they want to shift here, and they want to give the control to them also basically. So they have given full power to them basically. So one person told that basically, if they have given full, one person basically literally asked the question, कहीं ऐसा तो नहीं they have given one, you are basically, sorry, the job power basically is given to some other caste basically, and they basically are not giving job to you. That is also possible. So one person told that also basically. This also basically might be possible. This also basically might be possible. So any possibilities are there basically, because you don't have the data only basically from where basically the jobs are getting, how basically the jobs are getting controlled, how basically cities are getting controlled. Indian software company basically owner basically don't know that also, that text box equal to 1,000 cities. Text box is created from 1,000 cities. One person basically is telling, is shouting basically text box equal to 1,000 cities, text box equal to 1,000 cities. 500 cities already ended, 500 cities already ended. Then also basically these groups are basically not listening. So that is Indian basically software companies basically. They basically say that भाई ये तो काम का नहीं है भाई, ये क्या काम का है. Then basically one of the person basically from satellite told that if this 1,000 city will end, you will not basically able to display the text box, you will not able to see the text box, you will not able to see the check box, you will not able to see the combo box, you will not able to see the radio button. Then basically what is the use of computer only basically? Throw the computers basically, because the text box will not get displayed from the 1,000 cities. 1,000 city basically ended. Then basically where from the power supply is going to be get, everything basically is ended basically. Then how basically you are going to take this data? So software company told that basically that is not possible here basically. We want to see practically basically. So one person told that basically we want to see practically by ending the 1,000 cities only basically. There are many software company owner also like that also basically. To verify basically they go up to this level also. But everything basically you can't verify basically, because if you end the 1,000 cities, text box will disappear na basically. then what you will do basically? Then it will be impossible to display the text box in computer basically. Why? Because the power supply company basically might be having the data, but it will create disease basically. If they will supply the, for example, 1000 city ended, they are passing the they are passing the stored data. That stored database will create problem to computers, that are basically 800 computers basically who are sitting in the computer. They will get some new disease, and that disease basically will get spread, and mostly basically lots of people will die basically. That's why basically one of the person told that that's why only basically 1000 backups are created of the text box combo box. To create combo box basically few cities are basically just required, from 4 to 5 cities basically. The entire combo box, radio button, this that basically whatever things basically you display in the web browser, that can be displayed. But these 4000 cities are created just for backup purpose. If one city will end, other city is there na basically. But here 500 cities basically. But then also 500 cities there na basically. So this is also basically part of the India account. So one of the person told that it is very dangerous basically. The chips are very dangerous. So one person told that when basically the India account basically was creating. So one of the person told that the group basically who created the chip na basically, they basically might have used these accounts basically data, because the accounts data na basically is having everything basically. India account. So India account basically contains everything basically. One of the person told that that will cost basically too much basically to access the India account. So the cheapest way basically what would be? Then he told that basically to know this basically we can purchase these that basically. But that also basically there are many fake users basically. So you will never get the real idea basically. So best basically is find the India account, and on the base of India account create the chip, India chip, America chip. But that is very dangerous basically, because to access India account basically you required many permission basically, because India basically is a secret account na basically. If India account basically is data is giving to the other countries, it might possible that basically in future basically India will get in trouble. So that's why basically nobody will share the data. But without investment basically India can't stay also, because in India basically there is no big businessman basically who can control the entire India basically. 180 crore population of India basically. Few Indian businessmen basically can't control it basically. They can run few days basically, but to control basically entire India basically for many time basically, that basically only Indian businessmen basically can't do. For that basically you require the other than Indian businessmen. So you have to share the few data basically, but you can't share the India account basically. You can share the data basically. And when basically then basically one of the another person told that basically if you study the Ayurvedic data na basically, Ayurvedic data, then basically homeopathic data, from there also basically you can get the idea basically. But that basically is very dangerous thing basically, because that is a medicine basically, and that basically connects to the blood cells. So that basically is very dangerous. So best basically is India account, and study the Indian account basically. So one person told that India account is basically connecting to up to what level here basically. 1% told the India account is basically connecting up to very dangerous level basically, yeah. And basically you are not getting job, that connecting to the very dangerous thing basically, yeah, basically, yeah. Sunil, then you tell that yes, yeah, basically, but 1% rule that basically you are trying is the best thing basically, instead of dying basically. Die basically 1% rule that मरना बहुत आसान है basically, but to have the life basically, to struggle the life, to have the normal life, to have the child, to go, do the marriage, to have the child, to do the, to start the family, that is very difficult basically. To end basically it will take basically how many minutes, 1% rule that how many time basically, how many minutes basically it takes to end the life. Then 1% rule that yeah, 1 minute, 2 minute, maximum 3 to 4 minutes basically it takes. So that basically is different topic basically, but that basically universe group basically daily do basically when basically people are sleeping, that also basically they are doing it. So 1% told that India account basically connects to very dangerous thing basically. India accounts connect to very dangerous. 1% basically told. Assume that basically in India basically one person is having 500-year age. So he basically might not be having 500-year age like that basically. He might be handling lots of things basically. So 1% told that 500 equal to his 500 age basically, that is correct. So from one age to 500, that way basically his blood cells basically might be handled. One age, two age, three age, four age. Four age means when he was basically 4 year basically. When he was fifth birthday basically, he basically he basically enjoyed. Sixth birthday, seventh birthday, eighth birthday, like this 500 birthday. That basically I'm talking. So he might be handling somewhere basically, because he have to handle first birthday also, he have to handle second birthday also, he have to handle third birthday also. That data basically also he have to handle inside his blood cells na basically. So for that basically what he might have created, assume that basically he is the very richest person basically in the world basically. He basically have lots of property basically across the world, because rich people only basically can have 500-year age basically. Poor people basically what they can do here. So he told that what do you know basically what he has done? First age, when basically birth basically happens, basically first age, that first age basically assume that basically 10 crore child basically he has created on the base of his blood cells energy. So human souls basically was created on the base of his blood cells energy, and that was dumped into the mother's 10 crore mother's body. 10 crores mother's body, and that basically birth 10 crore happened. Like this basically he created 500. Like this basically he created 500 birth data. So 1% told that yeah basically like this basically he was handling his first birthday data like this basically, and really it is like this only, like this only basically the 800 crore population basically of world is created. So 1% told that who is that person here basically. 1% told that you are not getting jobs, so basically you reached up to this level. 1% told that yeah basically we actually never thought this basically, you basically, and this basically you can find basically where in India account basically you can find, yes basically you can find basically in India account. that is basically the birth wise data basically are available in India account. First birthday data, second birthday data. That means first birthday basically how many population basically whose age is 1, there are 10 crore. So that 10 crore basically connecting to this person basically body. So he was handling first birthday data from that 10 crore population basically. So he will never get disease of first birth data. So first birth blood cells which he basically is existing inside his body, he will never get disease of that data. He will never get. So one person told that ये तो मतलब very dangerous thing यार basically this basically India account is having basically but we basically never thought that basically first birth data is connecting up to this level. That's why basically the currencies department basically are allocating the money also na basically for the future 10 crore population, that is the 10 crore child, future child basically. Why? Because it's connecting with the richest person basically, that is 500-year-old person basically. So it's connecting to up to this level basically. So one person told that India account basically is very dangerous, handle very carefully, and at least basically give something to Sunila Nair also basically, so that basically Sunila Nair also basically can give some tax. So in next video basically we are going to see a little bit more about this India account.